Hello, everybody, and welcome to a special interview from ProWrestlingSheet.com. I just came back from All In, loved the event, had a great time, but one of the highlights of the weekend for me was seeing Lanny Poffo at All In with Jay Lethal. I wanted to talk to him about it, so I hit Lanny up, and he was gracious enough to join us. Lanny, you just came back from the weekend. You just came back from a sold-out 10,000-seat show, 11,000-seat show. How was it? What did you enjoy? What was your reaction to everything?
I enjoyed every minute of it, and I'm very, very appreciative to Jay Lethal, the Young Bucks, Cody, Rhodes, all the people that made it possible. Tremendous people, and I cannot tell you how happy I am that I got one more run. I'm going to be 64 years old December 28th, and they just made me feel so young and so welcome and respected. Like, they said, hey, would you mind doing this? Would you mind doing that? I said, listen, I'm not coming to you from Madison Square Garden. I'm coming to you from my couch where I wear white socks and sandals. And I have my pants way up to my boobs. And I complain about the music you young people enjoy.
Well, so who reached out to you first about being part of All In?
Oh, I'll tell you what. I was at Mark Brown. I sat next to him on the plane, Southwest Airlines, going from Tampa to New Orleans. And he said, why don't you get in touch with Delirious? And that's the booker.
Yeah.
So he gave me the email, and the next thing you know, I'm in Lakeland. And then the Young Bucks, they asked me to be in their hilarious YouTube thing called Being the Elite. And I said, sure, I would love to do that,
Of course, yeah.
Why wouldn't I want to do that? No.
Especially since you're just on the couch like you were saying.
I came from the couch with my white shoes and sandals. See, when you retire, you have to buy a kit.
What's that kit consist of?
White shoes, white socks and sandals, and pants that go past your boobs.
I have a co-host on Wrestling Sheet Radio with me where he's my age, but he's already at the white socks and sandals stage, and he pulls it off somehow, and I'm always jealous that he can get away with it and still look fashionable.
That's amazing. It's in Florida, it doesn't matter how you look, it matters how you feel.
Totally, absolutely. So then when you were on Being the Elite, did they talk to you shortly after that about being part of All In?
Jay Lethal was always trying to promote me because, of course, he does the greatest impression of the Macho Man ever done.
Oh, yeah, bar none. There's no one who does it better.
And I'll tell you what, I wrestled him about 12 years ago. And, he punched me in the mouth, and I sold it outside. And I went up right to his parents were in the audience. And I said, look what your son did to me. And that was like the highlight of the evening. What a baby, he can't take a punch in the mouth, but I believe as the genius, I believe in cheap heat. That's the only heat I knew how to get.
The best kind of heat,
I feel it's the best, yes.
So yeah, I agree with you 100% that Jay Lethal, his impression, even during the match that happened on Saturday, I was so amazed by the fact that he was able to not just emulate your brother, but, and all his, moves in the ring, and just his overall style in the ring. But what amazed me is how Jay Lethal was able to switch back and forth between wrestling like Macho Man and wrestling like himself at the drop of a dime. That was so impressive to me, right?
Well, I'll tell you how great it was. I'm supposed to be the manager, but I wound up just being the fan and forgetting everything except watching it. It was so much fun. And I hope I did a good job, but sometimes less is more. So, I wanted to enter the ring at the right moment, and I got kicked in the mommy-daddy buttons. Remember?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yes. Fortunately, I already have my daughter, and she already gave me a grandson. So anything down there is just for ornamental purposes only. Although I will I will tell you, I buy my condoms 12 at a time. I don't mean to brag, but
well, I mean, I
time,
think everyone's heard that legend before.
Yeah, I buy my condoms 12 at a time. January, February. Thanks for stepping on my punchline. I'm just kidding.
I didn't mean to. I didn't know that's the way you were going with. I thought you were referring to the other legend that you're notorious for.
Oh yes, I'm notorious for legends.
Okay, so I mean, so how long would you say since you were in front of a crowd that size?
Let's see. How long has it been since I was in front of I went to Cirque du Soleil in Las Vegas to see them honoring Michael Jackson, but I was a member of the audience.
Yeah, no, I mean like where you're the focus of the audience.
I'd say the last time I just came back from Scotland where they drew 2,000 people, but that wasn't 10,000, is it?
Mm-mm.
So I would say the last time I performed in front of I think the biggest crowd I was in front of was Wembley Stadium, about 80,000 people. And I'll tell you the poem I did. Let me see. From the home of the Olympic Games of 1948 to the World Cup of 1966. I know that date. Now it's SummerSlam at Wembley, and the genius holds the key. Behold, the future champions, the brothers Beverly. And that was my poem in Wembley Stadium. And they said it rained every single day right up until SummerSlam, and then it didn't rain because Vince had already booked it. So he has some control.
I'm so impressed that you still have that memorized all this time later. Like that's like so impressive. You truly are the genius there, being able to do that so long later.
Well, yeah, I got my start in the men's room of the Howard Johnson in Newark, New Jersey, in my poetry. Actually, it was my fifth grade teacher. I had a crush on her, and she said, "Lanny, you could be a great writer." And I went, "But baby, you ain't seen nothing yet," even though that song hadn't been written yet. So, anyway, twice in my life I met Shel Silverstein, and he really encouraged me to develop my skills. And the only thing is, he died in '99, and my magnum opus book of limericks from the heart and lungs wasn't published until 2004. So I wasn't able to say hi here, you know.
Yeah, totally. But at least you were able to publish that.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's a tremendous, and you know, it's all about smoking. A cigarette smoker named Faye smoked more than a pack every day. I asked her how come. She replied, "'Cause I'm dumb." I guess that's a good answer, eh? So there's 335 limericks. All of them, well, some of them cuter than others, I suppose, but no swearing in any of them.
Well, that's good. I mean, and I feel good because I quit smoking about 7 months ago now, so I don't feel offended by that one at all. I agree with you on that one. So that was basically the epiphany I had when I finally stopped.
Did you start vaping?
I did. Yes, I did. But even that, I've been weaning off of it. I mainly just for when I'm driving, just to kind of help with the habit of my hand kind of doing the smoking maneuver. But enough about me. I want to know more about all this all-in stuff. So, there was one thing I was wondering while I was watching the show when you guys first came out, was the jacket that he was wearing. Do you know if that was something he had made special for All In, or something that you had of your brother's that was around that you've kept since he passed, or one of the two?
One of Randy's biggest fans is Dr. Marty Urban in Massachusetts. He lives between Boston and Worcester, and he owns a collection. I'd like to say he's a dentist, but he's an implantologist, and that's a big science now. And it's so anyway, he owns memorabilia from World War I. He has like Olympic medals from people like Jim Thorpe and just the biggest names. And he's really interested in, not not flipping items like that, but just buying them and keeping them.
Mm-hmm.
So he has about 8 of Randy's outfits.
Oh, that's cool. Like the full outfit?
Right. So when Jay Lethal invited me to All In, I got with my friend Dr. Marty Urban, and he took pictures of all the outfits and gave Jay Lethal his choice.
Oh, that's so cool.
And then now he wants to buy the pants that Jay Lethal wore, because that wasn't part of Randy's outfit. It was just the jacket that I brought in for him.
Mm-hmm.
But then I'm giving it back to Dr. Marty Urban, and he's buying the hat, the glasses, and the pants so he can have the complete set, but autographed Jay Lethal All In.
Oh, that's so cool.
That's going to be in a place of honor. And these are, I'm going to tell you what, between Dr. Marty Urban and Jay Lethal, it's a toss-up on who's the nicest person. And I met Kenny Omega. He's a fantastic person. He even had the guts to say that he was a fan of mine. I said, hey, when people talk about the greatest workers in the business, my name never comes up. Your name always comes up. My brother's name comes up, but my name is never coming up. I said, I've seen your match with Okada like 20 times on YouTube, and what a humble, nice person he is. I don't like false pride or false modesty, but these are tremendous people, and they deserve all the success that they're going to get.
I couldn't agree more. I think they're very nice people, and I think that's why people enjoy supporting them so much, because that shows. And I'm something I'm wondering, because for me, I lost my brother earlier than I would have liked as well. And to me, it's very important to keep the memory of my brother alive. How does it feel for you, seeing that people still care so much about your brother still? It's been a long time since he was last in the ring, and it's even been a while since he passed away. I mean, it has to mean a lot to you that they wanted to pay respects to your brother at such a, historical event.
Well, put yourself in my shoes. He told me 1,000 times during the last year of his life, do not let them induct me into the Hall of Fame if anything happens to me. We go in as the Poffo family, Randy, Lanny, and Angelo. And the 3 of us or nothing. And that's what he wanted. And he was so angry about Pat Patterson blocking my father in the Legends Battle Royal that happened in the Meadowlands in New Jersey in 1987. That's what causes his early death. You got to let that stuff go.
Mm-hmm.
But Randy didn't let anything go. And that's how he lived his life. And that's why there's only one Macho Man and there's a lot of me. So anyway, I got a call from John Laurinaitis, and he didn't say the magic words, "I'm sorry for your loss," but he said, "Hey, would you like to put Macho Man in the Hall of Fame?" And I said, "This is what Randy wanted." And well, that got over like a fart in a spacesuit, so they didn't call me back. So the next thing you know, I have a monumental epiphany birthday. I turned 59. Now, usually the epiphany is 60. Why 59? Because I said, oh my God, I'm the older brother. And I said, I guess that means that I can now make all the unpopular decisions. And I decided, like the wisdom of Spock, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, or the one. So I told my mom, she died last year, but I told her, I said, I've got to put Randy in the Hall of Fame. She says, no, his wishes were this and that, and you know very well you're going against his wishes. I said, yeah, but now I'm the older brother, and he went against my wishes quite a few times because he was the older brother. So now, see, because I said, look at it this way. Who's more important? The promoter, the star? Neither one. It's the fan. Without demand, there is no supply. Without, I said, you got one Macho Man and millions of Macho fans. So Mark Carano calls me up and tells me to come to New Orleans about, 5 years ago to do to be on WWE Network and be interviewed. And I said, okay, I'll do that, but I want to tell you that I've changed my mind I want the Macho Man to get into the Hall of Fame by himself. Oh my God. I'll call you back. So he calls me back in about an hour, and he says, here's the deal. Please kayfabe, and that word used to mean something. It does not mean anything anymore, right?
Totally, yeah.
Okay, it's an archaic term, and so he says, we only have one posthumous inductee per year, and this year it's going to be Paul Bearer. And but if you can wait till next year in San Jose in 2015, then we can go ahead and put him in. And I said, okay, fine. And I didn't leak it. I didn't say a word. They leaked it. So
you know who they leaked it to?
No.
Well, they didn't leak it to me, but I broke the story of Macho Man going into the Hall of Fame when I was back at TMZ. They didn't, quote-unquote, leak it to me, but they let me break that story because I am, as you know, a huge Macho Man fan. So it's kind of funny that it came full circle like that.
Yeah, but I'm going to ask you something. Since you're such a big Macho Man fan, I'm going to ask you a rhetorical question that should be obvious to everybody, but I'm going to give you the chance to answer it. Did I do the right thing?
Absolutely, you did the right thing. Absolutely. I mean, look, it's funny that you mentioned the fact of you became the older brother at a certain point, because I am the exact same way. I'm the younger brother, and just recently, last year, I became the older brother, and so for someone who maybe doesn't have an older sibling, or someone who, an older sibling that has passed away, I don't think that necessarily they can understand what that really means and how that feels. Because you saying that, then it made perfect sense to me. Because, yeah, I mean, you want to do what's best for your brother's name to be remembered forever. And like you said, holding on to the past, holding on to things that you shouldn't necessarily hold on to can hurt that. And I think that you made the absolute right decision, because now, if you hadn't have done that, then he might not have been included in things like he is now, or mentioned in as much things as he is now. And there was that long period of time where he wasn't. And I remember being one of those fans who was going like, why is Macho Man ignored? Like, why is Macho Man not included in the history of WWE? So you doing that did allow that to happen. I think it's similar to what's going on right now with Martha Hart and the Hart family and Owen Hart, where she doesn't want to let the WWE pay tribute because she's holding on to something that obviously she is allowed to hold on to. But I think that, like you said, it can weigh heavily on you, and sometimes you do need to kind of allow the fans to have their public, tribute, even if it's not the way you would like. Because at the end of the day, I truly believe that Macho Man, your brother, I didn't know him personally, but I do think at the end of the day he would have understood that as well, and he would have done it by himself as well. And I think that, I guarantee you that from up above he was happy with the decision as well.
Well, I can tell you that he was a perfectionist. He was OCD about his performance. He was never satisfied with any match, any interview, or any costume. Okay? Mm-hmm. He always wanted to exceed himself and do better and better and better. Well, that's a little bit impossible, because once you get that great, there's no room for error. So what happened was the match with Ricky Steamboat in 1987 at WrestleMania 3 kind of ruined his life, because try as he might, he could never top it. He could never even equal it. And the reason is, of course, that half of the reason that match was so great was because of the talent of the Dragon himself. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat,
yeah, absolutely.
At the time, was one of the all-time greatest baby faces ever step into the ring.
Yep. Everyone has to have their foil, absolutely. I mean, that was those two against each other was magic.
Well, then, after Elizabeth files for divorce, and his life is takes a downturn, he goes back on the announcing table, but then he's starting to feel good again about himself, and he's making a serious mental and emotional comeback. And he's noticing that Shawn Michaels is emerging as not just a tag team wrestler, but one of the greatest wrestlers in Randy's opinion. And he decides that's the opponent that I can have, a better match than he had with Steamboat. So his plan was he called me up at 2 a.m. because he knew I had a computer, and he said, "Yeah, you got to get breakaway champagne bottles. You got to find out where you can get that," because his plan was to break a champagne bottle over Shawn Michaels' head after duping him into pouring a toast to his career. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
A drink to your, and then boom, and then he gets blood, and then they have a feud for 2 years, like the Hatfields and the McCoys, and Randy had it all lined up, and then it was gonna culminate in WrestleMania, where if Shawn Michaels loses, he loses his hair. If Randy loses, he loses his career and retires to the announcing table. And
wow,
he was gonna
crazy.
He was going to lose right in the middle for Shawn Michaels, and compare that to whatever selfishness might have occurred from the Montreal Screwjob of nobody wanting to lose.
Yeah.
See what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
In other words,
oh no, it was a different time back then. I mean, that would have been a huge deal.
Well, he was going to pass the torch to Shawn Michaels, but before he passed the torch, he wanted to have a better match than he had with Steamboat, and then end his career.
Do you think he could have had it with Shawn Michaels? Do you think it could have topped?
I don't know if he could have or not, but wouldn't you pay to see him try?
Hell yeah, I would have paid to see him try. All right, I have to wrap it up here a little, but I want to talk to you about one more thing before we end it here, and that is your new podcast. Your podcast is the Genius Cast, and it recently hit #1 in the wrestling section of iTunes during the first week it came out, which is rad. As someone with a podcast, I know that's not an easy thing to do. What can we expect from your show?
Okay, well, I only made one episode, so you can see that now. And I go in depth, and I blame Pat Patterson for everything, for saying, well, Randy, we're having a youth movement, and the best thing you can do is stay on the microphone. That's when he went to the WCW. But I tell the whole story on that. There's only one episode, so you can only, Monday it'll be another one.
Okay,
so,
and what's the topic of the second one?
The second one is my all-in experience.
Oh, awesome. Okay, great. So they'll get to hear much more. That's great. Then I'm glad that we didn't give too much of it away here. And
you're going to wind me up, and I just want to say, Ryan, I have to tell you something personally. I don't care who hears it. You were there for me when Randy died, and man to man, I will never forget you for that.
Thank you. It means a lot. You know, it's being someone who works in news, it fucking sucks to break death stories, especially about someone that I looked up to as much as the Macho Man, who was someone I was the ultimate entertainer in my eyes. And, it's not often that I form a relationship with someone afterwards,
well, listen to me right now. Friends for life as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you for your friendship, and thank you for being there. I've lost a lot of people in my life, my mom, my dad, my brother. The WWE is 0 for 3, no cards, no letters, no flowers, nothing. But the thing is, I am divorced, but I have a beautiful daughter, and she gave me a beautiful, beautiful grandson, and he calls me Abuelo.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And look, honestly, you saying that, Lanny, really means a lot to me. I appreciate it. You also a friend for life in me. I can't thank you enough for your support. Really, it means a lot to me.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. And lastly, where can people find you on social media, or where they can find your show and all that kind of stuff, so they can find it on iTunes? Just give them all the different places they can find it at.
Well, actually, the guy behind it is JP Zarka, and he is the impresario of ProWrestlingStories.com. And, check that out, because we're all over the place. But you know what? He does all the work. I just bought a big, expensive microphone because I know the difference between overhead and a non-reoccurring expense.
Okay, well, I got you covered. It's the Genius Cast on social media. I just pulled it up at the Genius Cast. ProWrestlingStories.com. You can check out there. And it's on Audio Boom. It's on all the different places. But if you want to find it, go to the best place to stay updated with everything going on with Lanny Poffo and the show is the Genius Cast, at the Genius Cast. It's courtesy of Pro Wrestling Stories. Thank you so much, Lanny.
Well, thank you. Thank Ring of Honor, and thank New Japan Pro Wrestling. I love all of them.